I am Naomi Brooks, and I am 34 years old. I drove quietly toward my older sister Vanessa's large home in Maple Ridge, New Jersey, on Thanksgiving evening, my hands steady on the steering wheel while my heart carried a fragile hope. 2 years had passed since our family last gathered under one roof, and I told myself that time had softened old judgments. I had changed. I had lost weight, gained confidence, and built something powerful in silence. My niece Ava once called me the best aunt in the world, and I clung to that memory like a promise. As my old silver Toyota rolled through the iron gates of Vanessa's driveway, surrounded by sleek luxury vehicles glowing beneath the porch lights, I whispered, "Maybe this time they'll finally see me." I didn't know the night ahead would test my dignity more than any year before. Before I continue, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach people who need to hear them, and it reminds others that they are not alone. That night mattered more than my family could ever understand. The driveway was packed with symbols of success. My brother-in-law Marcus's black Range Rover sat beside my brother Ethan's electric Lucid Air. My parents' pearl-white Mercedes sparkled proudly. I parked at the edge, stepped out with the apple pie I baked using my late grandmother's recipe, and took a breath. "Let this be peaceful," I murmured, forcing calm into my bones. Before I could knock, the door swung open. Vanessa stood there in a tailored silk dress, heels sharp enough to announce authority. Her eyes scanned me slowly, landing on my simple cardigan and jeans. "Still dressing modest," she said with a thin smile. I swallowed and replied gently, "Happy Thanksgiving, Vanessa." The warmth never reached her eyes. The doorway felt colder than the November air. Inside, greetings were stiff and transactional. My mother Helen rushed over, eyes filled with anxious concern. "Naomi, you look thinner. Are you eating properly? Still single?" My father Richard barely acknowledged me until he finished his conversation with Marcus. When he finally turned, he asked bluntly, "Are you still doing that freelance content thing, or have you found a real career yet?" I smiled politely and answered, "It's actually going very well. We just secured a major partnership." From across the room, Ethan laughed. "A partnership with who? Another online hobby group?" A few chuckles followed. I placed my pie on the marble counter and whispered to myself, "Just breathe." The dining room looked like a magazine spread, candles glowing, crystal glasses shimmering like quiet judgment. But the seating arrangement told me everything. Vanessa and Marcus sat at the head. Ethan and his wife Clara were beside my parents. I was placed alone at the far end, near the kitchen entrance, like an afterthought. Once dinner began, Ethan raised his glass. "Closed another major deal. $5 million this quarter alone." Clara added quickly, "And I just sold a $2 million property this week." Vanessa smiled confidently. "I was promoted last month. I now oversee a $40 million portfolio." When I spoke softly and said, "My company also reached an important milestone. We're now working with several established firms," Ethan waved dismissively. "Naomi, posting articles online isn't working with firms. Let's be serious." Laughter rolled across the table, even Ava smirked. The turkey tasted perfect, but every bite felt heavy in my throat. When dessert arrived, I served my pie proudly. Marcus took a bite and shrugged. "Well, Naomi may not have a real career, but she makes an acceptable pie." The word acceptable sliced deeper than he intended. Ava suddenly jumped up, excitement lighting her face. "This is perfect for my social series," she said, raising her phone. Vanessa laughed proudly. "Go ahead, sweetheart." Ava panned the camera. "Here's the Power family. My parents, the executives. Uncle Ethan, the finance star. Aunt Clara, the real estate boss. My grandparents, the wise ones." Then the camera turned to me. "And this is Aunt Naomi. She's still figuring life out. No house, no real job, just vibes." The room erupted with laughter. Vanessa wiped tears from her eyes. "That's terrible, but funny." Ethan lifted his glass. "Someone has to be the cautionary tale." Clara nodded. "Kids should learn what lack of ambition looks like." My father added coldly, "Maybe this will motivate Naomi to grow up." My mother sighed. "She's just a late bloomer." Ava read comments aloud, laughing harder. "They're saying every family has one like her." I sat frozen, hands trembling beneath the table. None of them knew the truth. None of them knew my silence was strategic. And none of them realized that this Thanksgiving was about to change everything. After the laughter faded, the conversation shifted as if nothing had happened. Plates were cleared, wine was refilled, and my humiliation was treated like background noise. I sat quietly, feeling smaller with every passing minute. When the talk turned to vacations, Ethan leaned back proudly. Clara and I are heading to Switzerland for 2 weeks. First class, of course. Clara smiled and added, private chalet this time. We wanted something exclusive. Vanessa joined in smoothly. Marcus and I are going to the Amalfi Coast. It's been a long year and we deserve it. My father cleared his throat. Your mother and I finally booked that Scandinavian cruise we've talked about for years. Not one person asked about my plans. To them, I didn't have any worth asking about. When sleeping arrangements were discussed, Vanessa clapped her hands together. Mom and Dad get the master suite. Ethan and Clara, you'll take the blue guest room. She turned to me without hesitation. Naomi, the pull-out couch in the den is available. Ethan snorted. At least she gets a place to sleep. Ava whispered loudly. It suits her lifestyle. Laughter rippled again. I nodded politely. The couch is fine. My dignity was all I had left, and I wasn't about to beg for more. Later that night, I lay on the thin pull-out couch staring at the ceiling. The springs pressed painfully into my back, but the emotional weight hurt more. Upstairs, muffled conversations drifted through the floor. I imagined my parents discussing how worried they were about me. I imagined Ethan laughing about Ava's video. I imagined Vanessa convincing herself she was helping me by belittling me. I reached for my phone and opened my banking app. The numbers glowed calmly back at me. $18 million in liquid assets. $28 million in company valuation. $9 million in diversified real estate. My breathing slowed. Messages flooded in from my real life. My chief financial officer, Daniel, wrote, "Everything is set for tomorrow's expansion announcement. Are you sure you want your identity revealed?" My attorney followed up. "Major publication feature confirmed for Monday. They're calling you a quiet disruptor." I closed my eyes. 4 or 5 years, I had built North Star Collective in silence while my family assumed I was failing. I remembered losing my corporate job in 2018. I remembered the same week my engagement collapsed. I remembered starting freelance work just to survive. I remembered every night I cried alone but kept building anyway. I opened my laptop and logged into the company portal. Faces of over 180 employees filled the screen. People who trusted me, believed in me, and helped me build something real. Tomorrow, many of them would receive equity bonuses that would change their lives. I clicked into the acquisition files for Clearline Systems, reviewing the final details. What my family didn't know was that Marcus's law firm had been counting on that merger to stabilize their revenue. What they didn't know was that I had quietly purchased controlling shares months earlier. By morning, Clearline wouldn't merge. It would be absorbed, and Marcus's firm would lose its biggest client. Voices floated down again from upstairs. Vanessa and Marcus were arguing quietly. "We need to do something about Naomi," Vanessa said. "She's embarrassing. People ask questions, and I never know what to say." Marcus agreed. Something must be wrong with her. No one her age should be that lost. I closed my laptop slowly. I almost laughed at how confident they sounded. They had no idea the woman they dismissed controlled the future of their careers. My phone buzzed again. My publicist, Rachel, texted, "Ready whenever you say the word." I typed back, "Move everything up. Release at 6 a.m. She replied instantly. "All of it?" I typed one word. "Yes." I scheduled emails to send automatically. One informed Vanessa's firm that North Star Collective would be bidding for their largest upcoming contract. Another notified Ethan's investment group that our partnership with Clearline Systems was terminated, effective immediately. I glanced at the time. 2:30 a.m. I whispered, they wanted somebody. They'll meet her tomorrow. Sleep came in fragments. At dawn, chaos erupted upstairs. Marcus's voice cut through the house. "What do you mean Clearline was acquired?" Vanessa screamed. "Who is the CEO?" Ethan yelled from another room. "The stock jumped 30% overnight." My father shouted, "Helen, the neighbors are texting me. There's an article circulating." I rose calmly from the couch, stretched, and walked toward the kitchen as panic spread. Ethan paced with his laptop. "Naomi bought shares for months. My projections are ruined." Vanessa stormed in, waving her phone. "North Star Collective is competing with my agency." "Naomi, what did you do?" Marcus appeared pale. "My firm could lose everything because of this." Ava stumbled down the stairs crying. "Aunt Naomi, my video. Everyone's calling me stupid." I poured myself coffee and said softly, "Good morning." Silence followed. For the first time, They were looking at me differently. Not with pity. With fear. Vanessa stepped closer, her voice shaking. You can't do this, Naomi. You should have told us. I lifted an eyebrow slowly. Told you what? That the person you mocked built something real. Marcus grabbed his phone, panic flooding his face. My partners want an emergency call. Clearline was 20% of our revenue. Ethan slammed his laptop shut. My clients are furious. Naomi, you ruined everything. Ava clutched her phone with trembling hands. Please tell them we're okay. I didn't mean it. My parents entered the kitchen slowly, their faces pale. My mother whispered, The article says you paid off our mortgage last year. My father swallowed hard. We thought that money came from an old inheritance. The room went silent as truth settled like fog. Vanessa tried to regain control. Why didn't you tell us? We're family. I laughed softly. Yesterday you laughed at me. You let your daughter call me nobody. You made me sleep on a couch while you bragged. Ethan stepped forward defensively. This is unethical. You should have disclosed this. I looked at him calmly. Did I tell you to assume I was worthless? He had no answer. Marcus's phone rang again. He answered shakily, then went pale. They're reviewing my position, he whispered. Ava cried harder. My school counselor saw the video. I met her eyes. Words have weight. You're learning that now. My mother stepped closer. We were worried about you. I opened my phone and showed them messages from the family group chat. Jokes. Insults. Plans to intervene. Worried people don't mock you, I said quietly. My father lowered his head. Vanessa grabbed my arm. Please don't compete for the Richardson account. I need it. I removed her hand gently. Your firm will get a fair bid. Her face twisted with panic. You said you couldn't compete in the real world. I replied softly. Let's find out. Clara approached me, tears filling her eyes. Maybe your company needs a real estate division. I could help. I stared at her. Yesterday you said I lacked ambition. She looked down. I was wrong. Ethan paced again. My director thinks I had insider knowledge. I zipped my overnight bag. I owe you nothing. Ava stepped forward. I'm sorry, Aunt Naomi. I looked at her gently. The world is bigger than likes. My father spoke again, unexpectedly soft. I read your grandmother's journal. I didn't know she had dreams like yours. My mother touched my arm. We want to rebuild. I paused, then said calmly. I'm not cutting you off, but I am stepping away. Vanessa panicked. Please don't go. I smiled sadly. Thanksgiving ended when you decided my worth. A black sedan pulled into the driveway. My driver stepped out and opened the door respectfully. The family stared at the car, realization dawning. That's yours, Vanessa whispered. I nodded. Yes, but that's not what matters. Ethan touched the wall for balance. We judged you. Ava cried. We hurt you. I inhaled slowly. Now you live with the consequences. Vanessa followed me outside. Would you have helped us? I paused at the steps. Yes, if you had shown respect. Tears fell silently. I entered the car, then lowered the window. Learn from this, I told Ava gently. She nodded. I will. As we drove away, I looked back once. They stood humbled, stripped of pride. I turned forward. Peace washed over me. Hours later, I sat in my Manhattan office overlooking the city. My team welcomed me with warmth. Daniel entered. Everything went smoothly. I nodded. Good. He asked, Are you okay? I smiled. I finally chose myself. That evening, I wrote in my journal. Being called nobody doesn't make you one. Sometimes it's the push you need. I closed the book and whispered, I'm somebody. If this story moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them, and reminds others that even when the world calls you nothing, you still get to decide who you become.